Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing. Okay, we are back. Very sorry. I had to take a little bit of a break, deal with a couple things, couple phone calls. The work never stops. I hope everybody though is doing well. Let's give it a few minutes. Let's see if anybody jumps back on. I did still want to talk about some of the things that, if you have plans for 2026, right? If you have plans for Freemasonry in 2026, I wanted to give you some advice of at least how I would go about trying to, I guess, resolve those plans, solve those plans. I don't know, pick your terms. How to make sure you can achieve those plans, how to make sure that you can, have a great 2026. Maybe you've got some advice actually as well on my side or for people in the chat about things I can do in 2026 to celebrate Freemasonry. Hello, Minotaur. I am doing well. Nam Rafin, I'm doing well also. Thank you so much for being here as always. I hope that you're doing well. Yes, came back on. Well, I had to take a break. I had to deal with a couple things quickly, but now I'm back. So thank you for joining once again. One more poll question. Of these four words, which best describes Freemasonry? Oops. If I could actually do the poll question. But I had to deal with a few phone calls. I had to deal with a few people asking questions, etc., etc. Let's go to the last four of these. I could, hold on one second. Community. Fellowship. Care. Money. Well, Handy is saying evil an awful lot. I normally don't put people in timeout, or I'll put people in timeout. I usually try not to block people. But Handy, if you're keep saying the same word over and over again, that's going to be an issue. I'm very sorry, Minotaur, that your PTSD is causing you struggles. I hope that you will feel better. I know it's one of those things, it's kind of easy to say, hard to do. I hope you have people you can talk to. There's numbers you can call if you need help. And I hope maybe you'll just take a few moments to just breathe. Breathe in and breathe out slowly. I'm a big fan personally of square breathing, which is breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. If you want, Minotaur, we can maybe do it together. As I drink my coffee. So what we're going to do is I'm going to breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Out for 4 seconds. And hold for 4 seconds. And then do that again. I don't know. Sometimes that works for me. I don't have PTSD, or at least not, I don't have PTSD, but that's not to say, I don't have, we all have our issues with anxiety and challenges. And in those times, I try my best to focus on square breathing for whatever it's worth. Michael, well, please hit like and subscribe. I have cartoon features. I have handsome features. Please hit like and subscribe. Do the Freemasons have a New Year's Eve party? It depends on where you're at. I'd be curious to know, actually, Mikey, if you know of any Freemasons that have a New Year's Eve party. And if you do, Avery Clark, I want you to hit the like button and subscribe button. That's what I would like you to do. Handy, Randy, easy to say, hard to do Masons. I will say you're not completely wrong, but that's true for everything in life. It's very easy to say you're a Freemason and to say you're active. It's very hard to actually be a Freemason and to actually put the time and dedication and hard work into this thing called Freemasonry. Um, I'm very sorry that you can't stop the stress. I understand it's very, very challenging and very hard, but I hope you'll just stick around for a while as we keep talking. Focus on the sound of my voice, whatever it is that's causing you the stress. Just remember, it's at least not here now with us on this stream for whatever it's worth, but it is hard. I believe it. I do feel like, Mikey, it's interesting, relatively speaking, Freemasonry, like there's regular Christmas parties that Freemasons have. There's regular New Year's Eve parties that Freemasons have. There's very few, there's regular Christmas parties, Halloween events, even Easter. I don't really hear a lot of Masonic lodges holding New Year's Eve parties, interestingly enough. So I'm not sure what it is, why it is that Freemasons tend not to celebrate New Year's Eve. Maybe because the membership is older, they're not interested in staying up late or anything like that. Dad, if you know of any, I don't think I've ever actually been to a lodge New Year's Eve party. So, um, well, I mean, I don't know exactly what Handy Randy. I think what Handy Randy is trying to say is don't give your problems your energy, which I think what he means by that is whatever you're struggling with, if you focus all of your energy on it and worry on it, it's only going to make the problem seem more insurmountable. I know, again, this is one of those things easy to say, hard to do, but focus on what you have good in your life and the positives. Generally speaking, that's another trick, right? Don't spend your energy on your problems. Spend them on those things that you are kind of that are going well. I think is what Handy Randy means. Um, Never done an outdoor burning ritual. I have done plenty of Robbie Burns nights, though. I have done that plenty of times. And Minotaur, you don't ever have to be sorry. I appreciate you being here. Just hang out, relax, chill, and just remember, wherever it is you're in a safe place, at least with me on stream, anyways. And if you're physically not in a safe place, then I hope you'll get yourself to somewhere safe. But emotionally, just consider this a safe place. Hang out, chill, relax. What is Robbie Burns Night? Robbie Burns Night is a celebration of the Scottish poet and Freemason Robbie Burns, maybe the most famous, certainly the most famous Masonic poet of all time, and a pretty famous Mason as well. Robbie Burns Night so that's what Robbie Burns is. Well, Peter, I am not a fan of Donald Trump myself. Freemasons have all different political beliefs and opinions, but personally, not been a big fan of him. Well, Peter, I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button despite your negative views on Robbie Burns. Or on Freemasons, I should say. Excuse me. Nine votes. Interesting. Money is actually in the lead, so there might be some negative Freemasons on the chat or people negative towards Freemasonry. I thought Fellowship would be in the lead. Why would you say FK Freemasons and then ask what is Freemasons? That seems like a weird way to go. Freemasons references a civic group or civic organization that has existed for over 300 years. Since 1634, give or take. It is, as is the parting glass, which is interesting Masonic connection as well. Um, well, thank you, NSN. Please hit that like button and that subscribe button. Help me keep it going by doing that. We are currently at, and become a member, super chat, all that good jazz. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I do want to talk about kind of Masonic, at least the most common Masonic um, resolutions that at least I hear in 2025, and how I think people can help to, or ways that you can help achieve those resolutions. What I will say is I did write about this as well, keeping Freemasonry in mind. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up quickly. I don't believe in magic. You'd have to ask every Freemason. Interestingly enough, famously true, Harry Houdini and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle were both Freemasons. And Harry Houdini, actually, despite being a magician by trade, he did not believe in real magic. He would always say he's an illusionist. He did not believe in magic or spiritualism or psychics. But Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who was a Freemason, did. And what's so interesting is, I always bring that up to point out Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, he believed in fairies, in magic, and spiritualism. Harry Houdini did not. And the reason I always bring that up is this idea that people have that, every Freemason has to believe the exact same thing or believes the exact same thing, and they don't. Harry Houdini and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle actually started out as good friends and then grew apart due to their different beliefs in magic and spiritualism and spirit and things of that nature. So you need to be really careful with this belief that all Freemasons believe in the same thing. So some Freemasons may believe in magic. I don't personally. Freemasonry is not a religious thing. Freemasonry is not a religion. It's a civic group or a civic organization. But it's not religious. It's meant to, fulfilling different aims, different goals than religious belief and religion, or spiritualism for that matter. So anyways, going back to what I was saying, I did write a Medium article about this in 2022, called Keeping Freemasonry in Mind. If you have certain Masonic resolutions and you want to know how best to achieve them, I have some advice, and I'm going to give those to you in a couple minutes once I pull up the article. Once I'm done with this stream, I will leave a link to the Medium story, Medium article on in the description. Eventually, once I can find it. I am not a stonemason. I can't build anything, but I am a Freemason. Freemasons evolved from stonemasons, but we're not the same things. Okay. Oops, nope, that's the wrong one. I can't build anything, believe me. You don't want me even trying. Keeping Freemasonry in mind. Where are you? Here it is. Okay. So the first Masonic, and by the way, a lot of these Masonic resolutions may seem really big. We got kids upstairs, but they're not. Vincent van Gogh once said, and I really like this quote, "Great things are done by a series of small things brought together." A resolution is like that as well, in my opinion. It's ultimately it's ultimately, don't think about it like if you want to grow within Freemasonry, don't think about it as, all the different steps. Think about it as a series of small things you can do to grow within Freemasonry, not one big thing. So, um, not really. We don't worship a supreme. Every Freemason worships a different supreme being based on his understanding. I mean, relatively speaking. So you can have Christian Masons, their supreme being would be kind of, Christian, Jesus. You have Muslim Freemasons, you have Jewish, you have Hindu, you have Sikh. When we use the term supreme being, which is really an Enlightenment era term, every Freemason will have his own image and his own idea as to what that supreme being is or what that supreme being represents. Um, I mean, that's a political question, King of the Earth. Please hit like and subscribe. Um, King of whether you support Israel or Palestine is a political question. Some could argue it's a moral question. It really just depends on, I guess, your point of view. But there are approximately 850,000 Freemasons in the United States of America. Some of them probably support Israel. Some probably support Palestine. Some are probably in the some are probably in the middle, or have a variety of different views. It really just depends on the individual Mason and his personal beliefs. So let's imagine probably the standard New Year's resolution. This is a resolution that every Mason is actually told to make at his initiation. Very few keep it. To make a daily advancement in Masonic knowledge. Now, that sounds like an easy thing to do, um, but it can be hard because it's time consuming. People are busy. However, I will say it is there are a ton of Masonic resources. I don't think so, Nicholas. There are a ton of resources out there for Freemasons who want to make a daily advancement in Masonic knowledge. In fact, there's a ton of resources for non-Masons who want to learn more about Freemasonry. So if you have made the resolution that you want to make a daily advancement within Masonic knowledge, no, we do not do any sacrifices of living things. The only thing we sacrifice is our time, and I guess our dues. I would recommend, well, Fishing Planet, there's no shortage of people with that same goal, I can assure you. My suggestion would be to look up some of the different free newsletters that are available that get sent right to your inbox, that provide information on what is happening on a variety of jurisdictions around the world, really. So, for example, there's Freemasonry for Dummies, which is the Chris Hodap site, which sends, I would say, at least every couple of weeks, a new email blast with information, facts about Freemasonry. There's This Day in Masonic History. Actually, let me get the list of newsletters and email blasts that you can sign up for, and whether you need to be a Freemason or not to sign up for them. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, I did see that. Yeah, I think that's accurate. I did see that documentary. I'm always a little bit hesitant when it comes to historical stuff like that about how much can we know for sure, but it does seem actually fairly accurate to me. I forget the name. So, right off the bat, and thank you, Mikey UCC. I do think that this channel is a great way to learn about Freemasonry. You can absolutely learn about it and grow within it through signing up for my email blast, follow me on social media, and subscribing to this channel. Beyond that, or after that, so you find our website, squareandcompass.ca. You subscribe to our stories via Medium, or subscribe on YouTube, or join Patreon. There is a Grand Lodge of Idaho newsletter. There is Today in Masonic History e-blast. There is Masonic Charitable Foundation. There is Somerset Freemasons, Freemasonry for Dummies, Masonic Association, London, Ontario. I do need a haircut, you're right. For those, Masonic information is requested. There's Ontario Mason Magazine, back issues are available. There's Middle Tennessee Masonic Events and Educational News Reminders. That does request Masonic information from you. There's Emeth on Substack, which is a great one. There's Masons of California. There's Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Prince Hall, South Carolina, Prince Hall Voice. There's Historic Masonic Temple Happenings, and there's Hiram's Herald out of Michigan. There's also a Holy Land number 50 newsletter. And there's Masonic Charities Foundation. So if you want to make a daily advancement within Masonic knowledge, what I would do is check out the article I wrote entitled Good Worshipful Masters Borrow, Great Worshipful Masters Steal. I will leave a link to it in the I'll leave a link to it in the description to this video. Sign up for all of those newsletters and links I provided, all of which is completely free. And you will receive in your mailbox and inbox almost every day, certainly weekly, information, articles, newsletters about Freemasonry, about what's happening in Freemasonry, and you will make your daily advancement within Masonic knowledge. Once again, that's Good Worshipful Masters Borrow, Great Worshipful Masters Steal. There is a ton of free information available about Freemasonry that you can access completely for free, completely convenient, and it will allow you to, fulfill your New Year's resolution of making a daily advancement in Masonic knowledge. How does one join? To be one, ask one. So you need to find a Masonic lodge within your area and contact them, right? And so it depends where you're at. I don't know where you live, but most Grand Lodges have pretty good websites that will send you to a Masonic lodge, and then you start the process. You do have to believe in a supreme being. Everybody is free to believe in their own supreme being based on their own understanding. You don't have to believe in an afterlife. Though I would say for most people, if they believe in a supreme being, they believe in a kind of afterlife. I've been to Alberta a few times. People were friendly, always seemed very nice. That's a pretty good way to look at it, Mr. Works. So that's how to fulfill that one New Year's resolution to make a daily advancement in Masonic knowledge. Sign up for those newsletters. You may have the resolution to contribute more to your lodge, to do more for your lodge. Well, I'm going to assume that if you live close to your Masonic lodge, then really there is no other way to do it. You have to attend lodge regularly. That is the best way by far that you can contribute to your Masonic lodge, is by attending regularly, as often as you can. That is going to do the most to contribute to your lodge. Never underestimate the value of your attendance and your presence. You may think that just by being there and not even saying anything, that you may not contribute. That's not the case. Believe me, as a worshipful master, seeing someone in lodge, seeing a full lodge room, even if 90% of the people don't say anything, they just sit there, it means a lot. And for a candidate, an applicant going through degrees, seeing a lodge room full is absolutely a meaningful sight and means a lot. So don't ever underestimate the value of your presence. If your resolution is to contribute more to your lodge, just being there is a huge deal. You can contribute to both, Boston. I think Freemasonry is how I contribute to humanity. Certainly, it's how I contribute to my community. And that's something I take great pride in. But there's more than that. Paying your dues, right? The most basic duty owed from a member to his lodge is the payment of dues. Paying dues on time or early is a simple but effective way of demonstrating that Freemasonry is in a member's mind. It is also vitally important to the betterment of that member's lodge. Paying dues on time or early ensures that a lodge within its fiscal year can properly budget for activities, events, and associated costs. It also reduces the already heavy workload experienced by lodge administration. For consideration, place in a calendar the date dues are owed and pay them at least a week early. Question: do you know how your dues are apportioned or for what they are paying? If not, ask your lodge administration, either privately or in a lodge meeting. A woman who is even not a stonemason can join Freemasonry. They can join the Order of Women Freemasons, Eastern Star, or Co-Masonry. Another way to support your lodge or another resolution is your dues card. Question: do you know where your dues card is? Is it in good condition? Is it up to date? After paying dues, yes, absolutely, Annie. Freemasonry does not discriminate based on race, ethnicity, language, age, religious or political beliefs. After paying dues, a member is entitled to the truly Masonic ornament, the dues card. A dues card is more than dues, D-U-E-S. A dues card is more than a piece of paper. A dues card is the physical representation of a member's good standing within his lodge. It is often the first piece of sure information requested when that member is visiting a new lodge. A dues card is important, as is its care. A damaged or lost dues card demonstrates a lack of interest in Freemasonry. It also increases the chance that a brother will not be allowed entrance within a lodge to which he is a visitor. For consideration or for resolution, make sure your dues card is in good condition and easily accessible. Note, so long as you can ensure the copy is safe from compromise, making a digital copy of your dues card is a great way to ensure its information is protected should the physical card become lost or stolen for that matter. Expired dues cards make great Masonic mementos and look great in a photo album. Well, there's me, there's you, there's a couple. Mikey CC, I think, is Canadian. Knowing your lodge's meeting schedule. Question: do you know when your next meeting is? Paying dues and having a dues card allows members to attend lodge so long as he knows the date and the times on which to attend. Almost all lodges have set dates along with set times for business meetings. Almost all lodges have traditional or set dates for emergent or special meetings. When, or hopefully before, a member is initiated into a lodge, his sponsor will tell him the lodge's meeting dates and times. It is then up to that initiated member to remember the dates and times, just as it is up to every member to remember them. For consideration or resolution, mark on a calendar your lodge's regular and emergent or special meeting dates and times. It is very easy with the business of life to forget about a lodge meeting, so mark these meeting dates on multiple calendars. Another resolution is making sure you regularly read your lodge's most recent summons or trestle board. Exigent circumstances will arise, resulting in the need for a lodge to change its meeting date or time, or both. If lodge administration has a sufficient time, it will notify membership of this change via its summons or trestle board. The summons or trestle board is a vital member resource. It provides contact information for officers and committee members, updates on lodge activities and special events, and notices regarding any last-minute changes. For consideration or for resolutions, read your lodge's most recent summons or trestle board. Another consideration, maybe you have a story or information you would like to see in your lodge's summons or trestle board. Why not suggest this story or information to lodge administration? It's your summons or trestle board too. And another note, and this could also be a resolution, have you checked to make sure you are receiving your summons or trestle board? Sometimes email addresses get lost or email distribution lists be altered by accident. Take a moment to think back over the last few months. Did you receive any lodge correspondence? If not, get in touch with your lodge administration. Maintaining contact information. Question: does your lodge know how to contact you? To read a lodge summons or trestle board, a member must first receive it. To receive it, that member's lodge administration must have his up-to-date contact information. In an age when people are regularly moving, it's easy for contact information to become out of date. It's even easier for contact information to become out of date in an age when so much contact is done electronically, reducing the need to know one's physical address. Even if a member communicates with his lodge administration electronically, it is still vitally important that the lodge has an up-to-date address and phone number. What's up, Jason? Yeah, and I'm not a fan of. I got a big tooth gap, but please hit the like and subscribe. I am at one with Freemasonry, I hope. So even if a member communicates with his lodge administration electronically, it is still vitally important that the lodge has an up-to-date address and phone number. Up-to-date addresses and phone numbers ensure that lodge administration can maintain contact with its membership, send to membership any special correspondence or special initiatives, and advise the membership of last-minute meeting changes. For consideration, contact your lodge administration and ensure it has up-to-date contact information. That can be a resolution, right? Make this resolution for 2025. Contact your lodge administration and ensure it has your up-to-date contact information. Even if you think it does, you can still ask the question. You'd be surprised. Sick and visitation. Question: do you know if your lodge has a sick and visitation committee or member? Most lodges have a sick and visitation committee, or if not a committee, at least a member responsible for checking in on sick or distressed members, and often widows. Lodges have this committee or member because they care about their membership and want to know, A, if any of their membership is sick or distressed, and B, if any other memberships requires visitation or assistance. If a member or his wife or his child becomes sick or distressed, contact through the Sick and Visitation Committee or membership allows a lodge to maintain its connection with that member during what could be a very challenging time. It will also allow a lodge to discuss how it can best assist that member, such as through benevolence or delivering groceries, medications, or other necessities. Should a member become so sick he is incapacitated or otherwise unable to make contact, hopefully the member has a family member or friend who can make contact in his place. This contact is also important should the member who is sick or incapacitated also be in a position of authority or administration. But whether it is a member who is in a position of authority or administration or the newest entered apprentice, a lodge needs to know if he is sick or distressed and how it can help him or his family. For consideration or resolution, speak to a family or friend and make arrangements to have him or her contact your lodge's sick and visitation committee should you become sick, distressed, or incapacitated. I will say, I have a whole plan in place that if I become sick, my friends know exactly who to call in the lodge if I can't do it myself. Do you know, and this is another note, do you know any members who are sick or in distress? Why not visit them or give them a call? Sometimes a visit can make all the difference to a sick or distressed member. End of life considerations. By the way, Mikey UCC, don't worry about people in the chat. What do you think about what I'm saying? Does this stuff make sense to you? Would you consider engaging in some of these Masonic New Year's resolutions? If so, which ones? End of life considerations. Does your next of kin or executor know of any Masonic wishes you may have upon death? Well, don't chat with people who are saying mean things about me. Let me deal with them. That's my point. It's easy to put off discussions related to end-of-life considerations, but yet so important. One type of consideration, which must be considered, are Masonic considerations. Does a member wish for a Masonic service? And more importantly, is his next of kin or executor aware of this wish? If the next of kin or executor is aware of this wish, does he or she know how to contact the Masonic Lodge to ensure the Masonic service takes place? Does a member have any Masonic items or regalia that, upon his death, he would like returned to the lodge? If he does have such items or regalia, does the next of kin or executor know how to contact the Masonic Lodge to ensure the items and regalia are returned? As discussed above, it is so important for a member or member's family to contact the lodge should he become sick or distressed or incapacitated. It is just as important for a family member to contact his lodge upon his death, even if he did not want a Masonic service. For consideration, speak with your next of kin or executors about any wishes upon your death as it relates to a Masonic funeral, Masonic items, and Masonic contact, and ensure they have the necessary lodge contact information. Extra considerations must be given if the member in question is a member of lodge administration, such as the secretary or treasurer. In such cases, it is important that instructions be provided as to the location of any important lodge documents or seals. Welcome back, Victor. Note, many Masonic items or regalia could have significant sentimental value to that member's lodge and should be returned upon a member's death, unless other instructions are provided. It is also worth, and this can be a resolution, taking special insurance on Masonic items or regalia. Depending on their value, get them appraised. That's another resolution. Get your Masonic items appraised. Always consult with a lawyer and seek legal counsel when considering end-of-life decisions. Question: when is the last time you had contact with your lodge? With the business of life, it is too easy to lose track of your lodge. It is also far too easy to lose contact and not attend meetings. While attending a meeting may be a challenge, that does not mean contact from a member to his lodge is also a challenge. Contact means taking the time to send regrets should a member be about to miss a meeting. Contact means sending a card at Christmas or another holiday to lodge administration wishing the lodge a happy season. Contact means attending lodge social functions or even setting up a coffee club or similar informal function or club. These are excellent avenues through which a lodge can meet with potential applicants or candidates. Contact means having refreshments delivered or dropped off if a member wants to give his junior warden a break. For consideration, this holiday season, why not deliver a card to your lodge secretary wishing every lodge member a happy holiday season? If you deliver it in person, great. If by mail or email, great also. So I'm going to go back through this current list of resolutions for 2025. These are all small things, but they're great together. Resolution 1, attend lodge as regularly as possible. Regulation number 2, put in a calendar the date your dues are owed and pay them at least a week early. Resolution number 3, make sure your dues card is in good condition and easily accessible. Resolution number 4, consider creating a digital version. Resolution number 5, mark on a calendar your lodge's regular and emergent special meeting dates and times. Resolution number 6, contact your Masonic lodge, specifically your secretary, and make sure your lodge has your up-to-date contact information, your phone number, your address, and your phone number, your address, and your email address. Don't worry about the stream, Dad. Resolution number 6, or the chat. Speak to a family member or friend and make arrangements to have them contact the lodge's sick and visitation committee should you become sick, distressed, or incapacitated. Resolution number 7, talk to your executor or next of kin about any wishes upon your death as it relates to a Masonic funeral, Masonic items, or Masonic contact, and ensure they have the necessary lodge contact information. Resolution number 8 or 9, I think we're at, If you have any special Masonic items, take pictures of them, store the pictures safely, get them appraised, and get them properly insured. Um, Resolution number, I think we're at number 10 now. Um, Wish the Lodge a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and a Happy Holiday season. Do so, if you can't do so in person, send a card, send a letter. Resolution number 12, this is a new one. I'm going to add this. Visit. Visit as often as you can. You cannot adopt me. But the thing about visitation is you need to understand visitation doesn't mean traveling out of your city. It doesn't mean traveling out of your country. It doesn't mean traveling out of your community. Visitation can mean visiting a lodge that meets in your city, but is not your mother lodge and meets a different night of the week. Or even in your same lodge building, but a different room in the lodge building. That's visitation. So make a resolution to visit as often as you can, but don't think you have to travel far. I don't think it has to be expensive. It can be literally the same city, just a different night of the week. If you do want to visit, um, out of country, make sure that you have your passport up to date. Make sure you have any vaccinations you need to get. Resolve to get both of those. Resolve to keep your dues cards in good condition, and resolve to, as much as you possibly can, have the Masonic documentation on hand, including a letter from your secretary. Also, if you want to resolve to be as helpful as you can to your Masonic Lodge, there's a million ways to do so. Resolve to get your first aid training. Resolve to get psychological first aid training. If you're going to be the junior warden, resolve to get food handler safety. Resolve to get your WMIS training. Resolve to get your Smart Serve or related alcohol service training. All of that stuff is incredibly valuable. Resolve to help your building by getting the 311 app or similar apps and contacting your city or municipality if, for example, there are issues that need to be resolved around your building. Those issues could include, damaged sidewalks, damaged streetlights, traffic issues, trash and litter that needs to be picked up, or a lack of a trash can. I talked about that yesterday. You need to resolve to make your buildings as hospitable as possible, and that means resolving to know who at the city you need to contact if there are issues in and around your building that are municipal in nature. So Boston George. So Victor, I am, and this is me speaking personally, this is my own opinion. Not every Mason agrees, so be it. I am a big proponent of vaccinations, and I think if you are going to be traveling overseas, you have a responsibility to get your vaccinations that are recommended. Now, in some cases, if you're traveling for Freemasonry or any purpose, and you're traveling to certain countries, vaccinations are actually required. There are some countries which will not allow you to enter the country without vaccination. And for example, when I was, traveling during COVID, I had to show proof of vaccination when I was crossing into the States and then back into Canada. There are some places, for example, in Africa, if you're traveling, you still need to get vaccinated. I'm a firm believer in getting whatever vaccinations are requested. I got my yellow fever, my Hep A, Hep B. When I was a kid, I got measles and TB. I haven't got any in a while, but I don't think you need to renew those, but talk to your doctor. And I got my COVID and flu. However, I think the resolution I'm giving you is if you want to travel for Freemasonry and you actually want to travel overseas, it's on you. It's your responsibility to know what is required by the country to which you're traveling, whether it be passport. Some places, it's not enough to have a passport that's active. Your passport needs to be active for longer than 6 months from the date of travel. So it's not enough to say my passport's active. It needs to be active for more than 6 months. And some places you need to have certain vaccines. Like there are places in Africa where I believe you need to have a yellow fever vaccine before you're allowed to enter the country. Um, Another lodge, it's not an issue. The lodge itself is not an issue, but the country it can be. Again, the one time it came up was actually when I was traveling to South America. There was a note that said if you were traveling and you had a fever of any sort, you had to demonstrate your vaccine status. When I was traveling, I didn't have a fever, so it wasn't an issue, but I still had my vaccines up to date just to have it. It's not an issue for traveling into the lodge, but for traveling into the country. And in my opinion, as a Mason, I have a responsibility when I'm traveling somewhere to know what the requirements are and to fulfill them. I don't want to be traveling to a country as as a Canadian, as a man, as a Mason, and then I'm in customs and I'm causing trouble for the customs officers because my passport is not up to date, my vaccine status is not up to date, whatever it might be. So, um, I was considered, actually, I wasn't because I'd quit my job like a month before COVID hit Canada, or at least before the lockdowns. But I would have been considered an essential worker. Um, I am a third degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree within Freemasonry. So USA asked me for mine, Mikey. USA, every time I crossed over, I was asked for my vaccine status from 2021 through to about 2024. Sometimes they would ask me at the customs directly. Sometimes the person crossing me over would ask for it. So when I took a bus or the Robert Q or a plane across from Canada to the United States, I would be asked for both a copy of a negative COVID test and vaccine confirmation. Sometimes when I was returning, I was asked for the test and the proof of vaccine. Sometimes I wasn't. But crossing over to the States, at some point, I was always asked for it. Um, Going back to what Boston was saying, I'm also an 18th degree Scottish Rite. Now, Boston, you were talking about some Masonic degrees and Masonic ceremonies you've heard of. Um, I never confirm or deny any ritual information in any degrees because it's not my place to. It ruins the experience. What I will say is what you need to understand within Freemasonry is if you got rid of really the entirety of Scottish Rite, but any degrees above, let's say, Rose Croix, that would make me very sad because it's a valuable part of the Masonic family. However, Freemasonry would continue to exist. Freemasonry is not defined by any particular degree or ritual, except maybe the first three craft degrees. If you got rid of those first three degrees, then Freemasonry would cease to exist. But even then, which craft degrees? Emulation, York, Scottish Rite. Like, you need to be incredibly careful when you start to define Freemasonry based on a single ceremony that you've heard of. That's not how it works. That would be like defining that'd be like defining, for example, professional sports based on a single team, not the entirety of the league. It's very different things. You need to keep that in mind. I would also say I got a ton of COVID tests. Always came back negative. I was very lucky. I never had any issues getting COVID tests, except one time I got one in Mexico, and that was painful. I swear, I think they shoved the Q-tip so far up my nose, they hit my brain. That was a painful test. Every other test, it wasn't bad at all. I remember when I would travel to Chicago all the time in Glenview, they were offering free testing I was able to get, I must have got probably a dozen tests. I saved all my COVID tests. I've still got them saved. Always came back negative. So I was lucky. Um, I think a lot of people, Rooster, had a really hard time living through the lockdown for a variety of reasons. I'm not going to say it was easy for me. I will say I viewed it ultimately as um, I'm trying to think of what the word is. Um, I viewed it as an opportunity, at least for Freemasonry, to try to show what it could do to help those who are most at risk. A lot of Masons, you know, delivered hand sanitizer early on. They helped people out. They delivered groceries for brethren who were ill. I know that a lot of lodges did online meetings and actually did really cool stuff during the online meetings. So that was really, really cool. I think like everything, it was a really hard time. We saw a lot of really bad things from people, but we also saw a lot of really positive things from people. Usually that's my experience in life is within the most negative times, there's positives. I mean, people taking extra efforts to donate blood, to support nurses, whatever it might be. What can $500 get you in Canada? I don't know. I mean, 500 USD would probably be about 700 Canadian. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to think what other resolutions did I want to mention? Resolution 13, I think. So resolution number 12, try to get whatever the certifications, professional or otherwise, that you can get that may help with you supporting the lodge. Get WMIS, because many Masonic buildings have chemicals in them for cleaning supplies, especially sometimes for heating and cooling systems. Knowing the proper and safe storage of those supplies is very valuable. Get food handler certification. So if you're serving food to your brothers, you know how to serve it safely. Get Smart Serve or other equivalent alcohol service requirements. Get first aid and psychological first aid. Another resolution you may want to consider, learn about the resources in your community that Freemasons can potentially benefit from. These would include, but are not limited to 988, the number for self-harm. You can call it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, both in Canada and the United States. Learn where local food banks are. Learn which brethren in your lodge have spare bedrooms if a brother ever needs a place to stay, and know how to access benevolence if a brother requires it. So those are my New Year's resolutions. Mikey, I hope that made sense. Everybody else who's a Mason, let me know if those resolutions made sense. That's a good resolution, Mikey UCC. I would say that resolution, those aren't specifically Masonic. I'd say everybody should try to have those resolutions. How one resolves to abstain from vice. Sometimes Freemasonry can provide a pretty good map on how to do so, but a pretty good roadmap on how to avoid vice. But I would say it's not the exclusive way to do so. But I hope those resolutions made sense. I'll leave a link in this chat. Sorry, in the video. I'll leave a link in the video description of the article. Oh, I see what you did there with the raised. I was born and raised in Canada too, both literally and figuratively. I think Canadian economy is doing pretty well. I don't know for sure, but I think it's doing pretty well. I've always said you cannot separate the conditions of a country from the conditions of Freemasonry within that country, and that includes the economic conditions therein. If you are new to this stream, please, please, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be ending this stream shortly, but I do appreciate everybody being here. And I will be back on at 1 a.m. tonight with another stream. I'm going to be posting some videos as well, some YouTube shorts. So please make sure you check those out. Consider a super chat in honor of New Year's, all that good jazz. All right, guys, I guess we're going to end this stream now. I hope some of these resolutions gave you some ideas of things you can do. You'll find me write these all out as well. So All right, guys. Talk to you later. Have a great night. And maybe I'll see you all at 1 a.m. Who knows? Can't fool me. I can ask you to hit the like and subscribe button, though.